Welcome to the tutorial on using the Track Wizard program. In this video we will see the creation of a new audio, video and DMX project. When starting the program we select New Project. We set the name and the project folder. We choose the audio-video format we want to use. We use the generic output device which only provides the audio-video preview, and we select the video format based on the format of the clips we are going to insert. We set the number of audio channels and create the project by clicking on Save. In this way the new project will be created and shown on the screen. Now we need to add the audio, video and DMX clips we want to use in the project by loading the objects in the repository window and then mounting them in the timeline window. We load a video file by selecting it from a system folder. The program automatically converts it into a video format suitable for precise editing on the timeline. The imported file is shown in the repository window. Let's import an audio file. We select the fixtures of the DMX devices that we are going to use in the project. Each DMX device has its own fixture which will be used to control specific DMX channels. By clicking on the Fix button, the window with the device libraries installed on the system is shown. We select the device from the library based on the brand and type. In this example, we will use generic devices to load into the project. Moving the video file to a free track on the timeline automatically activates the output to Video Mixer 1. The program, in the Gold version, manages two separate video mixers with selectable output on one of the video devices present in the system. From the Input-Output menu, check the active video outputs by selecting Timeline Device Settings. Let's change the default output, which uses only the preview window. For example, let's select the NDI network port output, which creates an NDI source video stream. We set the name of the video port that can be connected by any other program compatible with the NDI standard. In the same way we add the corresponding audio file on the audio tracks of the timeline. The project is set to 2-channel stereo mode, so audio tracks will automatically be routed to mixer outputs 1 and 2. By changing the number of audio channels in the project, it is possible to use multi-channel devices with up to 16 simultaneous audio channels. The audio channels of the project are sent to the audio devices present in the system. The configuration of the outputs can be modified from the program settings. By opening the configuration section, it is possible to associate any audio device present in the system to the mixer outputs of the active project. Tracks in the timeline can be routed to various channels using audio routing. For example, let's select the first 2 tracks currently routed to mixer channels 1 and 2 and move them to channels 3 and 4. By selecting the clip with the right mouse button, we change the routing. By activating the timeline we see that now tracks 1 and 2 are sent to channels 3 and 4 of the mixer. Now let's add the DMX devices. By opening the Fixtures window from the repository, let's select some generic virtual fixtures. The generic lighthouses are equivalent to the real ones in terms of programming and allow you to test the scenes in case we don't have real lighthouses available, or if we want to carry out simple lighting tests. Let's take for example some rotating heads. Let's add some fixed spotlights for diffused lighting. We select some beam-type rotating heads. Adding everything to the repository. Each DMX fixture is identified in the system and on the timeline by fixture type and DMX base channel. We can have several fixtures of the same type that have different base channels. To add 2 fixtures of the same type we can duplicate the same object and assign ourselves a different basic DMX channel which we will add on the timeline at the points where necessary. Let's start our lighting project by adding fixed fixtures to create ambient light that is evenly distributed throughout the scene. We insert on the timeline 4 fixed lights with base address 10305070. By moving DMX objects on the timeline, we can synchronize lights with audio and video. The Track Wizard program allows 3D visualization of main light models. The 3D visualization software is a separate module that can be called from the main toolbar of the program. When opening a new project, you need to select a basic stage type to use. Positioning of objects on the stage is done using the current position of the 3D cursor. For example, click on a point on the stage using the middle mouse button. The 3D cursor is positioned in the selected point, indicating the insertion position of the subsequent objects that we are going to add. On the timeline, we select the 4 lighthouses we just added. With the right mouse button, we open the contextual menu and add the lights to the 3D. The objects selected and not present in the 3D scene will be added in the chosen position. By selecting the objects in the scene and clicking on the axis of the 3D cursor, it is possible to move the objects just inserted. The 3D viewer has 2 modes. The first allows you to select and move objects. The second uses the mouse to move around the scene. They can be activated using the toolbar or with the S and M keys on the keyboard. Let's try to turn on the headlights we just entered. We select the first lighthouse and open the settings from Track Wizard. We set the color and the main channel of the lighthouse 1. In the same way, we set up lighthouse 2. Having to create diffused ambient lighting, we can group the 4 spotlights in a single object in order to regulate them all at the same time. Simply associate the first fixture object to all the others, adding the basic DMX channels of the remaining fixtures. If we have a group of fixtures that we will always use as a single lighting element, we could also assign the same basic DMX channel to all the fixtures. In this way, we could create a single group to illuminate the background or areas globally, simplifying programming but limiting the separate use of those lights. Let's move the newly inserted headlights to the truss. While editing the scene, we can use ambient diffuse lighting to see the objects and move them around. The ambient service light can be adjusted and deactivated using the controls in the lower part of the program. It is possible to set and recall specific 3D views using the cameras. The 3D viewer includes the insertion of independent lighting props to create more realistic environments and experiment with various lighting configurations. Let's add some scene elements and place them. In addition to the main views, 3 distinct custom cameras can be stored. We choose a view by moving the mouse in the 3D scene. We store the rooms by pressing the corresponding icon plus the control key on the keyboard. In this way we have assigned the positions that we can recall by selecting the corresponding camera. All movements and modifications are rendered in real time even during the play of the timeline, allowing you to try out the scenes in a simple and intuitive way. We continue the editing of the lights by adding the rotating heads that illuminate the various elements of the scene with dedicated light spots. Then let's add some beam heads to create some light beam effects. The intensity of the light cones generated depends on the amount of fog present in the scene that we can adjust with the dedicated controls. The viewer also allows the insertion into the scene of virtual video screens and LED wall elements on which it is possible to map up to 2 NDAI video streams. We insert an NDAI screen and connect it to a video source present on the network on the system. Selecting the video generated by the Track Wizard mixer will allow us to view it in the 3D scene together with the lights, in real time. By moving the cursor on the timeline, it will be possible to check the show at any point.
I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address. In a torn up town, no postcode envy, but every song's like gold teeth, gray goose dripping in the bathroom, bloodstains, ball gowns, trash in the hotel.
After adding all the elements of the scene and the lights, let's save the initial project and proceed with the actual editing, creating our synchronized audio and video light show.